Hey, what's up, everybody? Back again with another album review, and this time it is a new album, a new band for me, but I'm sure people out there are familiar with the band. Looks like they've been around, since the turn of the millennium. And this is Finnish band Shade Empire, and the album is Poetry of the Ill-Minded. These guys kind of fall into kind of a mix, at least with this particular album, of kind of the symphonic black metal and melodic death metal. It's kind of a hybrid of the two. So you've got a very kind of layered textural, orchestral compositions. Everything is there to build upon the atmosphere and the emotion in it. So it's in that way, it's kind of similar to what you might find in like progressive or progressive power metal or power metal in general, where the emotion and the atmosphere and the vibe you get is kind of the at the forefront, as opposed to something like like my progressive thrash or metal, where you're focusing far more on the instruments and the chops and the prowess of the individual members and their combined efforts together, and it's not necessarily layered where each is kind of stuck playing kind of their main role. And but that's not a downside to it. It's pretty obvious, like I said, especially with the synth, it's creating this kind of the atmosphere behind it. You've got the drum kind of that continuous double bass. You might get the occasional fill here and there, something flashy, and then you get something that's more of a, kind of a, I don't know what you would call it, kind of a pulsating kind of beat, especially with like the toms and stuff, kind of creating kind of that power. And the vocals, at least on all but the first track, are pretty much in the black metal stylings. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Ishan from Emperor. That would be the closest I could connect as far as someone that sounded similar, but definitely, does the job well. Nothing, out of the ordinary, but fits the music just fine. And there were some clean vocals in the first track that were pretty good, and they fit. So yeah, overall, the album's different tracks. They kind of blend into one another. Not that there's a sameness, that makes it monotonous, but there's definitely a certain emotion that they're trying to capture in a lot of the songs. There's kind of that almost like melancholy, but yet at the same time kind of beautiful epicness, with a lot of the synth part and the guitar part that builds up with it. And occasionally, the guitars will, or the lead guitar will kind of rip through a solo and kind of come to the forefront every once in a while. But the rhythm guitar and the synth are pretty much playing together, like you would typically find in a lot of the symphonic black metal bands. So, it's similar to something, like Arcturus, or Borknagar, or maybe even Dimmu Borgir to a degree, where you kind of have a wall of sound. It's not, it's not like the wall of sound in as far as like, just one kind of monotonous wall, but it's just all kind of layered together to kind of get almost to come to as one kind of unique sonic piece or element of the song, so to speak. Yeah, so Finland's got a history of a lot of really good melodic death metal, power metal, symphonic metal, and some other, type in that vein. I listened to Children of Bodom for a while, though eventually kind of got their musical stylings kind of went in the direction I wasn't that all that interested in. But Hate Crew, Death Roll was probably the kind of the pinnacle. I saw them live a couple times. Fin Troll's another good band from Finland that does their kind of own thing. It's like a black metal with like kind of a polka or oompa type music. So Finland's definitely, as far as the metal scene, this kind of style is not not unusual or for that region, but it's very well done, very polished. Like I said, it's longer tracks, but not necessarily a lot of tracks. Let's see. Let me see exactly what we've got here for our total. We've got 7 tracks. Like the longest one is I'm not sure exactly how long the longest one is. Looks like 10 minutes. It's called Anti-Life Savior, and it starts out with like a poem. I think it might be Milton's Paradise Lost. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't heard the audio version of it yet, and I'm not overly familiar with the entire work. And then builds into kind of an epic, like I said, that kind of epic orchestral, symphonic, powerful kind of backing with the vocals, not the vocals. I'm sorry, the spoken word of the poet, with the person reading the poetry, and then it leads and gets kind of more powerful and more grandiose, and then the poem itself cuts out, and then it goes into the song itself. And yeah, I mean, there are certain moods or certain moments where it's really kind of dark and grim, and kind of has more, more of that, atmospheric, like black metal feel to it, where the synth isn't either doing the piano part or, kind of doing hitting the chords that are kind of that more epic, kind of beautiful, sound to it. And it's just kind of becomes more different kind of atmosphere. And yeah, so a lot of the synth parts, at least, chorus or, or the finishing parts of the song, you'll notice a similarity in the note choice and the chord choices and chord progressions and stuff. But like I said, it doesn't become, monotonous or anything, so that, you lose interest. Yeah, it looks like the total length of the album is just over 45 minutes. So for 7 songs, that's pretty good. Long songs, but very, like I said, very well put together, very well composed. They keep interest without, it's not just kind of a repetition of an idea. Like you'll get sometimes with like power metal and stuff, which, you go 30 seconds of the song and then you hit the chorus, and then you get to the chorus another, like 5 or 6 more times, and that takes up like 4 or 5 minutes of the song. It's just kind of the sing-along part with an obligatory solo and whatnot. And they, like I said, the more of the standout parts where each person in the band that's, instrument wise is getting a chance to kind of step to the foreground for a little bit. It's usually with the guitar solos. I mean, the bass is kind of in the mix there. The drums are just, like I said, keeping pace. It's a lot of the kind of mid-pace to faster, a double bass. Your typical fills. So it's timekeeping and, like I said, keeping the pulse going, but it's not, overly, experimental or anything. So it's kind of, typical for that style. Like I said, yeah, the vocals work well. From what I understand, the vocalist is no longer in the band. So this may have been the last album that he is ever going to be on, as far as I can tell. At least that's what it said on the Wikipedia article. So those who are fans of the band and are familiar with the band's discography and have followed them, this guy's last hurrah. So I'm not sure exactly what if he just provided some of the vocals, and the newer vocalist was the one that provided the bulk of it. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I just listened to it and figured I'd get the review out when it was fresh in my mind. So I'm assuming that the original vocalist did the bulk of the vocals on this album, and then kind of, I don't know, for whatever reason, was let go from the band. So yeah, I'll be definitely looking into their backing or their back catalog and seeing what other stuff they've got to offer. So yeah, definitely a solid effort. I would definitely recommend this band to anybody that likes symphonic black metal or melodic death metal, where you've got plenty. It's heavy, atmospheric, got the real epicness to it at times, but it's definitely there trying to, kind of grab your attention, being with more of the, I don't know, we'd call it catchy, but the riffing and everything is there definitely to, as to pull you in. So it's not too difficult to get into as far as that goes. It's not like overly proggy or anything. But yeah, that is the album is Poetry of the Ill-Minded. The band is Shade Empire, and I definitely recommend it. Give it a listen. They probably have a Facebook page with some of the tracks on there to sample. And yeah, excellent album, and that does it for this one. I'll be back soon with a new album review. Take it easy.